Uduasha city, where the sun is a mirror and the moon a shadow. 800 years ago, the gates of death were broken by the Emperor Immortal. The 5 key-bearers, however, had already unlocked them and walked right through. It is in Uduasha city they dwell. Now, the ghost field breathes next to our reality, lit by the eternal flame of the well of Udu. It is a second skin, a place where thought and will struggle against gravity and light. In other places, the dead congregate in the ghost field, but in Uduasha, the well city, the hell city, they fall straight into the flames. See its glittering districts: Kshitijpur, where the rich plot to buy the horizon; Bunda West, where the refugees of 2 different nations flock; and Pasarhandu, the vertical maze of market and murder. And here is Udepat, where the ceaseless temple resides. Its inhabitants, a family, a snake, and a god. The temple has stood since before the gods of this world were forgotten. Watch as it turns the wheels of revolution. Welcome to Desperate Attune, an actual play podcast about people who take risks so they can survive against the odds.
Hi everyone, it's Zoheb with a recap of last week's episode. This is going to be a long one, so buckle up. Last week we saw the aftermath of the score to rescue Freya from the clutches of Lord Skurlock at Mount Himagiri. We began with the daring escape from Mount Himagiri, where Vickers and Miraz had gotten themselves caught in a love quadrangle with a receptionist and a maitre d'. Vickers had noticed Miraz's strange behavior over the last few months, unaware that he was being possessed by Shrine Builder, his self from the past and the future. Miraz, equally unaware that he was being possessed by Shrine Builder, thought Vickers was mad that he had kissed the receptionist while pretending to be the roguish pirate Dr. Danger. To disentangle themselves from this awkward situation at the hotel, Miraz let off a smoke bomb. The smoke bomb alerted the attentions of the demon known as Murgatroyd, the elephant deity of tricky deception, who had had his eyes on the crew for some time because of their hijinks and shenanigans. Murgatroyd swooped in to save the day, taking Miraz and Vickers on a magical journey through time and space, before dropping them home at the roof of the temple. Vickers' magical journey let her see her own past and future selves, and she realized that while Miraz was the Shrine Builder, she was herself the incarnation of the Vulture, the Destroyer, the Shrine Builder's traditional foil. Finally understanding what was happening to Miraz, she banished Murgatroyd and confronted Shrine Builder. Dissatisfied with Shrine Builder's responses, she got Miraz back in control of himself. Poor Miraz, completely unaware of what's happening, had a difficult argument with Vickers, and with Abbas, who had just arrived on the hotel rooftop by hang glider taxi after a relaxing afternoon eating dessert at Mount Himagiri. Vickers realized that Miraz was being possessed because the serpent, the avatar of the temple's god, had cursed him before disappearing from the temple. She needed to confront the serpent and right the wrong. The argument was interrupted by news that Zajjidan was attempting to summon the snake again. Since the last time he had tried this, he had almost flayed himself alive. The crew rushed to stop him. This precipitated yet another round of argument where Zajjidan in turn demanded to know about Shrine Builder possessing Miraz. Miraz was of course unable to answer. Shrine Builder, however, was in a position to answer. Possessing Miraz once more, Shrine Builder said he would answer the temple's questions, but instead he merely insulted them all as poor incarnations of their archetypical selves. All except Zajjidan, whom Shrine Builder contemptuously described as having no role in the story of the temple beyond fathering Miraz. Himself a disgraceful incarnation of Shrine Builder. Having had enough of this, Zajjidan decided to create a ward banishing Shrine Builder. Zajjidan lit a candle that would ward Shrine Builder away from Miraz, so long as Miraz stayed near the candle. But there was a cost. To keep the candle lit, Zajjidan entered a deep, comatose state, where he would stay, unless his family could save both him and his son. This is the final recap of our first season of Desperate Attune, A Candle Blaze. Before recording the session, we expected the season to go longer, but we quickly realized that we're in the endgame. Next week we're going to upload an extra following Joan's journey, because Emma was away for this session. Once we catch up with her, we'll have the finale next. We intend to release the finale as a long episode instead of our usual practice of cutting each session into 2 episodes. We hope you enjoy these last few episodes of our story. Thank you for following our work. It's been great to have you. There's more to come in season 2, so stay attuned.
Let me set the scene. Let us imagine not the newspaper that Abbas has been releasing, but something that's much more well established, something that, it's like the paper of record, like the New York Times or something, right? Like the newspaper that kind of everybody reads and thinks is like, oh yeah, this is the big one, right? And over the following days and weeks, there are headlines, and the headlines broadly go something like this. Massive accident at Mount Himagiri. No casualties. Lord Sturlock discovered to be in the city illegally. And then like a little explainer for who he is for the people who don't know. Right. Noble houses demand answers from the Empire for breach of treaty. And then a little explainer for why this is so important. Right. I think in some specialist magazines, in some specialist like once a week New Yorker type places, there are profiles of Lord Skurlock, of the history of the treaty, of like what Uduasha's relationship with Iruvia broadly has been and why this will change, that kind of thing, right? And this causes like massive, I think, geopolitical international relations type upheaval. Because the demon princes know that the treaty has been broken and they demand reparations from the empire. I mean, we hear that the emperor has declared that he will personally visit Uduasha, a visit that's going to be very carefully choreographed. Everything is going to be negotiated ahead of time, because even the emperor coming to visit Uduasha is technically not governed by treaty, because he's the emperor and you can't tell him you can't come. But at the same time, it is like you have to make sure that he's permitted to come and so on, right? And he's going to come with his entourage. I will tell you that one person in his entourage is the Master Spirit Warden, the person who runs all of the Empire's arcane defenses. There's probably some others. So as we do this, I think like when we cut from like a more zoomed in thing, when we zoom out, I think we can do some paint the scene stuff with these big NPCs just to see what is happening in the city, right? Like I'll ask you to name one, and then we can like if you just tell me in a couple of lines what they've been up to in Uduasha, right? And as this is happening in Udaipur, there is remarkably little change in some ways, because Udaipur is not very close to any of the parts of the city that are going to be affected by this. It's not where the rich people are. It's not where the revolutionaries are, or at least that's what they think. The Rakshasas come around a bit more often than they used to, that kind of thing. But it is not like this is a very like weird thing to say, but I have had the experience of living in cities where you will be reading on the news that a bomb has gone off somewhere, and you will be struck by a thing of, oh my fucking god, what? But at the same time, you were nowhere near there, and then you just kind of continue living your life even though a bomb has gone off, right? And I think that is kind of the energy in Udaipur.
Mm-hmm.
What are all of you up to?
I am spending most of my time in the library where there's a camp bed for my father, and I am trying my best to. I'm just kind of just being there, and when I'm not there, I am going around chivying the various doctors of Uduasha to show up and try to give some sort of expert opinion.
What's Zajjidan's current state? Like, is he lucid?
I think he remains mostly unresponsive. You're able to feed him. He's not really like eating in like a conscious way, but you're able to like put food in his mouth. His gag reflex still works. Definitely able to hydrate him. Like someone has to do the hard and like quite frankly thankless work of cleaning him, making sure he doesn't get bed sores, that kind of thing. Right?
Yeah, I'm on that.
I think there is no doubt that he is fighting and he's holding on, but that is why he's still here.
Hmm.
I want to flag that this massive span of time that's about to take place would be perfect for Miraz to be diving deep into the temple renovations, but he has completely decided to neglect all of that and is just focusing on this now.
Very fast. Padmapriya and Padmamukhi are also, I think, definitely assisting you in this, but neither of them are doctors. I mean, you're not exactly a doctor either, I guess, but they're kind of mostly assisting the arcane research. They're not able to really do anything else. And I think that obviously, we should do scenes as well, but at some appropriate point, you will get a little note from someone that I'm happy to tell you is Munna Bhai. But
Sure.
Until then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, until then, this is just what I'm doing, which is basically nothing useful.
I mean, you could start a long-term project to try and
yeah, but
understand what's going on.
We can, but that happens in downtime.
Yeah, fine. By having the PCs do some downtime actions to kind of get the ball rolling.
How about this? Miraz is. I assume Vickers would be here often with Miraz, and I assume
she is
also
absolutely helping with this. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Abbas is also there. I assume, right?
Yeah,
Unless Abbas has other things to do.
So you're what? You're with Zajjidan now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Zajjidan's health takes priority, and so that we said that the Emperor is scheduled to show up. He's not here yet, right? Or the negotiations ongoing. We're in a ambiguous sort of time-wise.
I think it takes a long time for an Emperor to show up. I think you do need to ready the city for his arrival.
Right.
Oh, yeah. It's not he's not going to turn up.
Yeah.
He's trying to turn up as soon as possible, and it will still be 3 months.
Okay, so
right,
but people know are expecting that he's going to turn up and know about there'll be some negotiations between the Emperor and the noble houses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think when Abbas is not spending time with Zajjidan, he's also working on the newspaper. Things are a bit quieter, just writing opinion pieces about how this is all for show. Nothing's gonna change. Don't trust the system, etc., etc.
Okay, so I think let's have a scene where the three of us are in the room together with Zajjidan, and maybe Padmapriya and Padmamukhi are not here.
Mm-hmm.
And Miraz has just I don't know. I think he's just finished feeding. I think he's just finished helping bathe Zajjidan, and if Vickers wants to help, then I think we kind of put him back in his bed, clothed and so on. And then Miraz just kind of sits down with his face in his hands, and then he just says, "Nothing seems to be working. He's just like this." Amitav didn't know what to do. The doctor from the Imperial Ward, I'm going to make a lifestyle roll to see if I can get a really good doctor from the Imperial Ward.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Oh no, that's a 2 and a 1.
The doctor from the Imperial Ward, he just laughed. I don't understand what, and I can barely leave. So Miraz hasn't been leaving the room at all because we established that Zajjidan. So Zajjidan has some sort of aura around him, such that I am safe around him. But if I stray too far from Zajjidan, then the whole shrine builder thing might start happening again. I think Miraz is just sinking into despair.
Should I roll something to see if my doctor friend can help?
Your what? Your doctor friend? Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense. She let's bring her here.
That was great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Home visit. Maybe it takes a while to get her in for a home visit, but she's here.
Yeah, and to be honest, I think if you said to her, "Hey, my brother's not well and can't leave the house," I think she would make time for you for sure. Right. So Tripadna Sen, who's also working with you on the newspaper. And it comes in. I think she comes in with one other person, probably like an assistant or something, in case she needs something. But apart from that, like, she shows up and she's like taking this very seriously. And in fact, as soon as she enters the room that Zajjidan is in, she will kind of like, she's gonna like stick her tongue out as if tasting the air, and then say, interesting. So show me your brother. Where is he? And then, like, I guess you lead her to him.
Where
so I think
is.
And she looks at Miraz, looks at Vickers, and says, you can't take care of him if you are not taking care of yourself. It's really important that you get sleep, you eat. You have to leave the room once in a while. I feel like you've been. And then she looks at Abbas and says, "Have they left the room at all?"
I think Miraz can't.
I can leave the room a little, but I can't go far from the room. He says distractedly. And does she know? And I look at Abbas like, have you told her what happened?
Yeah, I think I have. Yeah.
All of the stuff, like the shrine builder, all of that, right?
Yeah, I mean, so to be clear, Triparna Sen is a surgeon, which like in my head that means like she's doing more like she's not an expert in the arcane, right?
Yeah. So the way that I envision her is that she's not an expert in the arcane, but so she definitely has a good knowledge of the way that the arcane can work with relation to the body, and she uses that, right? She just can't like do a ritual. That's not like where her expertise is, right?
Yeah.
But she can definitely like the arcane in relation to healing is something that she's comfortable with, and that is why she was able to kind of realize that there is a sacred nexus here, right? Like that's familiar to her in some way. And in fact, before anything else happens, I think Abbas, you should roll for her. So she's like an expert, so she will get 1 die more than your tier, so that's 2 dice. And we'll just see. I mean, she will know something, but it's just the quality of what she knows.
We're just rolling tier with +1.
Yeah.
Tier +1. Let's go.
It's a 4. Okay, so you get good information, I think. You just don't get incredible information.
Yeah.
So she says, "Yes, Abbas has told me. Now, this candle, do you still have it?"
We do, right? I mean,
Yeah, I can't imagine you'd get rid of it.
Yeah. It's probably in the room, right? Near probably on a side table near the bed. Yeah. This is the.
So she looks at it. She like takes a little flake of wax off it and like rubs it between her thumb and her forefinger. And she says, "He did it very quickly. I will be honest, it's a miracle he's alive. I would expect something like this, a sympathetic link, forged so fast and then immediately broken. I would think that it would kill him, but it has not. And I think it's because he knows that if he had died, well, he wouldn't be able to protect you anymore, would he?" And then she kind of like, inspects him, listens to his heartbeat. They don't have flashlights, but looks into his eyes, like does a whole like full body check, and then says, "It won't be easy, but I'll come here every day before my rounds, and it'll be a lot of spiritual physiotherapy, for a lack of a better word. He will have to get back in touch with his body, and we will have to strengthen that connection. And he was not in a great place before this occurred, but I will do the best I can.
Are you saying his spirit has been detached from his body?
Not exactly. When he did that ritual, you said he blew the candle out.
That's right.
He had linked himself to the candle. And I think like she's explaining this, and I don't know whether you've told her how your thing works with the candle as well.
I don't think there's any reason for us to hold back, because I can definitely imagine him going like, I used that candle to blow up an entire...
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And also my brother is sick.
Yes. I think she will say, it's like what you do, right? Except that when you do your ritual, you have a lot of time, you have planned everything, your body is ready for the shock. Zajjidan didn't have any of that, and as a result, when he did the ritual, that severely weakened him. And we have to build his strength back up. And it won't be a straightforward process, and it'll take us time. And we'll, every day will be a new day. But I have faith, and I don't think Zajjidan wants to leave yet. So we'll see how it goes.
I don't entirely understand this, but tell me if this is correct. He's not dead. He's just lacking enough spiritual energy to participate, as it were, to move his body to be back with us. Yes.
Broadly, yes. The specifics of this, you got all of them wrong. But as an analogy, the way that you should think about it is that the muscle that he needs in order to use his body was sprained when he did his ritual. And we need to heal the sprain by training it back up so that it can be used again.
What another analogy, I suppose. In Akros they do blood transfusions. Can we do something like that with spiritual energy?
Oh, speaking out of character, I don't know. So
And speaking of character, that's a really cool idea.
Yeah. So let's say that let's say it is possible, and I think what she will basically I think she will say it's possible, but well, there is no anesthetic for spiritual harvesting in this way, and well, most of what I would have been doing with him would have involved me giving up some of my energy in a way that I can control it, and so I know how much pain I'm able to take, so I can keep going. Now, someone, and I presume you are offering to do this, someone who is not well practiced in this, I won't lie to you, it is somewhat risky.
Yes. If there's one thing I don't have, it's a shortage of spiritual energy.
Indeed. In that case, I think in that case she will say, very well, then I have, and then she takes out like this little like jar from like this bag, and it's got like a couple of like, it's got some medication in it, and she says, she just like hands it the jar, and she says, take this every day after breakfast. It'll help support your spiritual system while you're doing this. I'll get a supply for myself because, you've taken mine. And don't miss the medication. It can be even more dangerous not to take the supplement.
I appreciate this very much. Thank you. Oh dear.
It is what I'm trained to do, and Abbas is my friend.
Are you quite sure you want to do this, Miraz? This does seem rather unhealthy.
It's the least I owe him.
I see. Yes, I understand.
And it can work. I still feel that certainty. They are gone. They can't come in. They can't come in through me because of what my father did, but they're still there, and I can hear them. And we can trust them on this much when they say that I can build something and it will work. Then we can trust them on that.
Yes, I suppose we can.
Will you help me move him into my workshop?
Of course I shall.
And I think Tripadna will say, I better come with you. Not to put too fine a point on it, but I think my help will be useful to make sure that the setup works.
I appreciate that very much. And so out of character, what I need to do is invent a device.
Right.
Yeah. I am very tempted to PvP this and completely sabotage our efforts, which is very out of characters for Vickers, but for your own good.
You want to have dueling? You want to have a? So how about this? I start a long-term project, and you can kind of reverse my long-term project if you like.
I'm not reversing it. I'm tampering with it. I have an idea.
Okay.
A pretty terrible idea, but
okay. Sure. That's fine.
I will just flag here that what I intended is, so I made an 8 clock called Zajjidan Recovers, and if nobody interferes and this just goes on, then the likelihood is that with time he will get better. So I was just thinking every time we do a scene or something happens, I will take the clock once to kind of just represent time passing, and then once enough time has passed, he will come back to life, like in some fashion, right? Like, we're not saying that he will be immediately his old self or whatever, but like that's what'll happen.
Okay. I don't mind that necessarily, but it's more like he's already dying. This must have like taken him out for a loop. I feel like some sort of big last ditch, like something really high stakes, makes a lot more sense than him just coming back.
Yeah, I will interfere with this, and it will involve time travel. So
okay. Excellent. Okay. And I think I will say that this kind of like represents like two different like views on this, because for me, like in my experience, the big last ditch thing isn't what tends to work. What tends to work is like you just like wait and you hope, right? Like
I mean, this isn't like real world medicine shit.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, for sure. Yeah. Great. Okay.
Also, it's Miraz. If you tell him to choose between your father will slowly recover, maybe in some fashion, versus like here's a Dr. Frankenstein invention to bring life back into him through the power of electricity.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm going to invent a device. It should be a 12 clock minimum.
Yeah. So, let's do this by the book, because I never do it by the book. And it's interesting. Crafting. Okay. What type of creation is it, and what does it do?
Through electroplasm as like the spiritual medium and so on, it will transfer my excessive life force to my father to give him his life force back.
Great. So then we'll answer the question, what's the minimum quality level of this item?
Tier 5.
Let's look at... Yeah, I think it should be at least tier 5, but
maybe
let's
6.
just see what magnitude says. Yeah.
I mean, it's not like so I think tier 6 would be if I'm trying to create life or bring the dead back to life. So tier 4 or 5 makes more sense here.
Yeah, so like the words here I think suggest tier 4 is superior or powerful, and tier 5 is impeccable or overwhelming.
Yes.
So I think, and tier 6, to be clear, is legendary or devastating, which is to say, I think if you make this tier 6 item, then you have like genuinely discovered something new and totally revolutionary to like the field of medicine, right? Whereas so tier 4 would be an incredibly well-crafted, well-working device that like you have made yourself, but like it is a new version of something old. A tier 5 would be like an invention that you have made that like does this, and it does it for you and your dad. Like it is like specifically for this thing, and it'll do it impeccably. And tier 6 is you have invented spirit transfusion machines that work. So depending on where you want to be there, I think.
Yeah, just another day in the life.
Yeah. I mean, that's why Blades is the gate, right?
Okay, so minimum tier 4 then.
Yep.
Yeah.
To do it.
Yes.
Sounds fine. Well, this is going to be a lot of things that I'm going to do back to back. So if someone wants to take down the spotlight to focus on their own things, that's fine. For now.
I'm just gonna finish the questions. Sorry.
Oh, sorry, I forgot about that. Okay, go on.
Yeah. So I ask you, what rare, strange, or adverse aspect of this formula or design has kept it in obscurity or out of common usage, or I guess in our case, has prevented it from being invented so far?
Basically, it's spirit transfusion, right? It is.
Yep.
Actually, oh shit. Actually, no. Let me think about this. Oh fuck! I realized. Okay. All my thoughts coalescing. It is outlawed because this reverses the hollowing process.
Oh yeah.
So the Church of the Ecstasy of the Flesh in Akaros, the state religion, believes that to remove your soul is the soul is a base horrible thing, and to remove the soul is the holiest act you can pursue, and it pursues the ritual of hollowing, which removes people's souls. And this essentially, what Zajjidan sounds like, through a roundabout fashion, Zajjidan has become hollowed. It sounds like. Maybe we didn't say it as such because it's not really a thing in Uduasha, so maybe Triparnasen didn't make the connection, but now that I think about it, that's what happened to Zajjidan. So I'm going to essentially give my life force to Zajjidan to reverse the hollowing process. And this is basically illegal in Akaros. The church wouldn't stand for it. And the second thing is that if you are anyone other than myself, and this is entirely theoretical on my part, that I'm an exception, you basically you transfer spirit energy to someone else, and you no longer have spirit energy. Then you just become hollowed instead.
Right.
Whereas I think because I have all these past lives swirling around in me, I surmise that I have excess spiritual energy to give away.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah. So I think that the last question, which is, what drawbacks does this item have, if any? I think that you need to be a well-practiced spirit healer of some kind to know how to use it correctly, because I do think that Triparnasen is the other half of this solution, right? Like, she knows when to start, when to stop. You know, when you work with her, she can tell you, okay, you have to stop the machine now, because if I lose any more, then we'll start getting into trouble, right? And I think the second thing is that, so the tier 4 version of this item is actually the safer version, in that that's the version that won't take too much away from anyone. It won't return too much away from anyone. Fine. The tier 6 version, the legendary version, will absolutely, like, it's not that it's more powerful, it's just that, like, it can restore someone over the course of like a few weeks or months, depending on how you operate it, back to full soul capacity, whatever that means, right?
Okay, one more drawback. It consumes an incredible amount of actual real world power.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it would have to.
I'll have to source energy somehow. A lot of energy.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah. So
okay.
I'm gonna go start doing that.
Yep. I thought about it. I have a scene to interfere with your work, but I think it's cooler if I do that partway through the process and not like right at the start. So let's get started on the process first.
Okay. Does Aadiyat have anything he'd want to do, or should I just start this?
No, you can start it. I think the next thing I would do is look for revolutionaries, but I think that should happen later.
Mm-hmm. Makes
Okay,
sense.
we can cut back and forth. I don't necessarily want, because this is a 12-step clock. It might take a while.
Yeah, no, we will go back and forth for sure.
Yeah.
So-
Well, I don't have anything else in mind right now. So
Yeah. I want to focus on this project because
Okay.
my plans hinge entirely on this going not the way you want it. So we'll
Yeah.
see what happens.
Okay. So time to burn the midnight oil and try to
Uh-huh.
invent this device. So I think a study roll. Let me see if I have any relevant abilities.
Why don't I start by helping you?
You want to assist?
Yes, I want to take an action towards this clock by spending one of my downtime actions.
Oh, I see.
Prince, are you sure that Vickers is okay? Because you appear to be working on and tampering with the same clock.
Yeah. No, to be clear, I want this machine to be built. I just don't want it to do what Miraz wants it to do, if that makes sense.
Okay, so before you do that, I'm going to make my roll. So I'm going to, so I'm taking sacred geometry. I don't know if that counts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure.
Okay, so I'm going to take a bonus dice for that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'm just going to roll study. Just the baseline study to figure things out. Okay, so that's 2 ticks. Cool.
You get a 5, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I also have analyst, so I'm going to add 2 ticks for that onto here.
Yeah.
So far so good. So that's the first thing I do. I just spend a lot of time hitting the books. Yep. Prince, you're up.
That's a good idea.
Okay, excellent. So Vickers will absolutely help you get this machine together, and she doesn't understand very much of the construction and the machinery, but you do have an apprentice still, your chandler, whose name I forget.
Sharma.
That is true. Shama has not been around in a while, but yes.
And who knows stuff about spiritual energy, because that's the whole thing of the candles. And so
Yes.
I am going to sit you two down, and I think I'm using command again because that's just Vickers' style. But I'm going to sit you two down, and I'm going to very, very patiently. This is not like overtly ordering you, but like a stern schoolmistress, be like, no, stop bickering. How can you work together on this?
Yeah.
Get you to actually. I think it's a cool way to fold in some of the wax magic. Like, I think it makes sense that you would actually have to understand a little bit about that to do this.
And if you care to notice this, by the way, you notice that her new prosthetic hand is probably tier 6. It's a legendary. She has invented something that will change the field forever.
She invented something that let her infuse her spirit energy into wax. So she's probably going to be tremendously helpful here. Are you okay with this angle, Klow?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Then I'm rolling command to contribute. I roll a 4. I was hoping I would roll more, but it's 2 ticks.
Sounds good.
Yeah. And I think in this case, it is that okay, I'll tell you this. I think that I was going to offer you this devil's bargain, and like we said, even with the earlier roll, we can fudge the rules a little. If you are willing to tell her to her face that the snake has abandoned you, she is going to be so much more willing to help you.
No. Because the snake will not be abandoning us for long, you see. I am arranging things.
I'll tell you how this.
In that case,
but you can go. You go first, Tree.
Oh no! So I think what the key thing that happens here is that so Shama has invented this new device and has this very strange attitude towards it, which is that she's almost repulsed by it, which is I don't think something that necessarily makes sense to especially someone like you who makes things and takes joy in making them, right? And this is clearly her work, and yet somehow as she demonstrates it to you and explains how it works, she's also a bit it's awful, I hate it, right? But you gain I think crucial insight into the way that spirit wax behaves around living energy. Because what she's done is made the wax itself, which is a byproduct of the cremation process, work with her own body, which is filled with living spiritual energy. And she's made a crucial breakthrough in how those two things interact, and that's what she's helping you with. But it's possible with a 4 that really, it's not that she's not telling you, it's that you don't have the maths for it.
I listen to what she says, and I'm mostly focused on her arm. And then I kind of like make some notes, and then I look at Shama and say, "Thank you, Shama. You don't need to be coming in from tomorrow."
Have you noticed that she hasn't come in like since in fact the shrine builder appeared in your life?
No, I know. I don't think
Okay,
about
cool.
Shama at all.
Yes, yeah, indeed.
But she was maybe helpful here, so
Oh yeah, she's helpful. She's helpful, and I don't want her to show up anymore because she may try to interfere in what I'm going to do based on her inspiration.
She will merely stand up and say, I shouldn't be surprised that you haven't noticed that I haven't been around at all, but nevertheless, good day to you. You know where to find me if you need me.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And in fact, she's directed this towards Vickers because Vickers is the one who made her come in.
Yeah, but Miraz still has a quip, and it says, "Yes, in the dustbin of history."
What a guy! What a guy! Okay, yeah.
Boom, boom.
Yes, yes.
And then Miraz kind of looks at Vickers and says, I heard about this. I haven't had the time to look into it myself. But we have acquired a golem at some point, haven't we?"
oh yes, I believe Joan was taking it out for a spin the other day.
Yes, and Freya was involved somehow. Where is she, by the way? Has anyone seen her?
That's a good question. Have we seen her? I would presume that we rescued her. We would at least make sure she's okay.
Yeah, we should probably have some sort of scene with her at some point.
Yeah, we should. And also, I will say that it seems to me that Vickers would definitely pay close attention,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah, so let's say
that-
you
that-
have, and there's a scene we should probably do later. This golem, who does it have a master? Does someone command it?
Yeah, well, the temple, obviously. I mean, we stole
Right.
it. It's ours. So
Yeah.
Oh, that's a relief.
But I will point out it's finicky, and if anyone except Joan handles it,
mhm.
it does not do as well.
That's fine. So I think the next scene that we see is Miraz standing in front of this really fucked up golem with this look of distaste on his face because this represents everything he hates. And then he looks at it, and then he says, "Do you understand my commands?"
I think that you feel nothing from it unless you can tell me how you're feeling things from it, because it's a machine. If you attune to it, then it is possible. Because that's how they did it when they tried to talk to it and erase its memory.
Of course. You don't have a sensorium inside you. You have no idea what I'm saying. And yet, everyone... Okay, I don't have time to get into that right now. The old-fashioned method, yes. I'm going to lay on hands and I'm going to try to commune with it.
Excellent.
To kind of rest its obedience.
Yeah, that's an attune.
Yeah, it is.
I will say that. Yeah, I think it's okay. It's a fortune roll, and you can do this, but you will take -1 die because the person it likes the most is Joan, and that's the person it wants to commune with most often.
Fair enough. But it's still a 6.
Still a 6. Very good.
Nice.
So I think that I don't like talking for Emma here, but I feel like if she doesn't like it, she can tell me. I think what's happened is that actually hanging out with Emma and speaking to her and so on has actually made the gestalt inside this golem much more kind of well formed, and it's much more able to kind of realize what is going on and present a kind of unified front, which it wasn't doing earlier. And as a result of that, yeah, I think whatever you need from it, it is happy to give you, and it is willing to help and take direction and so on.
Yes.
But as you say, no sensorium, you do have to attune first.
Okay. I'm going to guide it into the workshop. So it's made of wax, so it can like melt and reform and fit into the available space.
Yeah, but it's also a car, so it's very big. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So the workshop is now incredibly cramped. There's barely any room to move. So there's a Zajjidan in his camp bed. There's a gigantic golem just kind of idly sitting there. And then there's all my shit. I'm going to attempt to create a mechanism now.
Okay,
Okay, so I'm going to tinker. Actually,
sounds good.
I wonder, actually. No, I'm not going to attempt to So I'm going to look at the golem. I'm going to hold the golem and I'm going to ask it, do you feel pain?
And I think the golem will say, in impressions more than words, that it does not really feel pain. It feels disgust, boredom, sadness, but it does not feel pain.
Okay. Then I'm going to ram a bunch of pipes and wires and electric rods inside it. So I'm going to wreck it.
It in fact feels disgust, boredom, and sadness as you do that, but it does not feel pain.
Fair enough.
So 5.
Almost done. Of course, I have to still craft it. But let me finish the design then, unless someone has anything to say.
Yeah, finish the design, and before you craft it, I think I will make my move.
All right. Yeah. So now I'm going to create. I'm going to draw up the designs for a very, very finely calibrated set of like those diadem circlet things with the electric wires that you see in all sorts of science fiction, make ultra psychic experiment stuff.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
So I'm going to create a series of those that are going to be attached to the golem, and we have established that there is electric light in the temple. So the electric lights are going to go off, and instead the generator and so on, they're all going to be pouring into the rods inside the golem.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm going to call that a tinker to put that together. Doesn't matter what I call it because it's going to finish the clock anyway. And thus, we are ready to craft this invention.
Excellent.
So we are now ready to do something about the fact that we are ready.
Yes.
Before you do this, so I have several things that I want to do, but I think it makes sense to do this. I thought about it. I thought about if I should try to summon the Chakraborty back first, but we've had a lot of rolling to clocks. So instead, I shall use our time travel space that we have, the sanctuary that we established in the committee meeting.
Yes.
And I'm going to attempt to speak with Zajjidan.
Okay. Before you do it, I've thought about it a little bit, like how this should be done. So I've designed the thing. Then I'm going to make a roll to craft the thing, and then there should be a roll to use it.
Yeah.
I know it's a lot of steps, but I think something like this is momentous enough, and there should be plenty of room for like things to go wrong in the meanwhile.
Like all of this has been risk-free so far, right?
Yeah.
So until you use it, you're not really.
Yeah. So I haven't crafted it yet. It's like still incipient, but now Vickers, you can do your thing first, though.
Yeah. Cool. So I want to get in touch with Zajjidan via our time traveling room. You can tell me how difficult or easy this is, but he is unconscious and can't really speak normally. And so my plan is to reach out to some past or future version of him and attempt to have a conversation with him through the means of bending time and space to my will.
Great. I actually think this is a good scene for Freya to also be in, if she wants to, because she has the ghost key that most effectively operates.
I'd love to be Freya.
So I suppose let's check in with Freya first. Like, what has Freya actually been up to?
I assume I've been sheltering with the esteemed lady in shades of rose and gold. Was that her name?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing. I've been hiding very much, entirely keeping my nose clean.
Okay, yeah. Then I suppose I shall come see Freya, or I will invite her to the temple, actually. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
And when she is there, when she arrives, I will have prepared, not food, I think, but I will have prepared tea, which I can do decently.
Nice.
And I'll say, so sorry to call you over here on short notice, but there's something well, I need your assistance with, and it's something that I'm afraid has to be kept a little bit secret, because, well, I wouldn't want to kick up a fuss.
It's okay. It's good you managed to find me. I don't think I told you, but I'm going away.
Going away? Where to?
Yes. I shouldn't tell you.
Oh. Well, I do suppose we'd best keep secrets, but I do hope it's someplace safe and that you're not getting involved in bad company again.
That's the entire point. Oh. Yes. And I think she just kind of goes forward and just gives you a big hug.
Well, I shall miss you, but I do suppose it's for the best. You have gotten yourself involved in an awful lot of trouble, and I don't know if we'll be any shape to get you out safely again. So,
yes,
take care, and know that you're always welcome here if you should want to come back. It's one of our principles, after all.
Yes.
I'd love to come back. I don't want to go away, but it's the only thing right now. It's the only thing. Yes, but I'm here now. What did you need help with?
It's nothing final, but if you do go away, would you mind getting me the key for the committee room and showing me how it works? There's someone I need to speak to, and I'm afraid the committee room is the only way I can do it.
Well, I'm so sorry. I lost it. I lost the key. And out of character, my future self stole the key.
That's true, but I think this is a nice moment for you to be like, I can still do it because I don't need the key anymore.
Yeah. Also, you know who does have a copy of the key?
Abbas does, isn't he?
I think you can tell me that. That's funnier. Like that she has it.
Yeah.
I don't know. So Freya has no idea what happened to the copy of the key.
Yeah.
So Abbas has had it the whole time. So Freya's like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, so do not lose momentum in the scene. Freya does not have it and does not know where it is. Or
Yeah. Abbas,
Yes.
you better show up and give it to us.
Well, you have to ask for it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think okay, yes, obviously because well, somebody's clearly been using it. I've kept hearing movement in the corridors. And then we will see this like Detective Vickers mode of activate again. As she thinks about like who might it be, and I will follow the trail to Abbas, I guess. I don't want to drag out this whole scene too long.
I mean,
but
Uncle Abbas must know if anyone knows. He knows everything.
yes, I suppose he must.
Oh man.
Let's go see him.
Just far cry from the least read Hierophant ever.
Okay, so as Abbas comes in, just I also want to do something to help out with the spirit transfusion things. I suppose one of the risks of using this machine is you might siphon off too much of your own spirit energy when trying to transfer it to Zajjidan, right?
Yes. That is a key risk.
Yeah. So what if we had some other source, like not from Miraz, like?
That's what the golem's for.
Right. Okay. But like, can we get even more? Like,
I
somehow?
mean, we have the well, and you have a conduit to the well. So.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking. Because the way I understand it is that, like, you've got your physical body and you've got your spirit energy, right? When the body fails, the spirit goes away and into the well. But with Zajjidan, the opposite has happened. The body is fine. He's just lost. Yeah. So I'll figure out a way to get a lot of spirit energy from the well.
Excellent. Do we need a scene with me borrowing the ghost key from you, or can I just do that? Do you think?
I think you can just do it. Let's you know.
All right. I will come to you and I will ask to borrow the key to the committee room, and then what I'm aiming for is a private conversation with Zajjidan. Now I think it could be cool if Freya is also spying on it or seeing it since she's going away, but I think it's important that none of the other people from the temple are able to talk to him. And again, only thing I'm really trying to do is to get through to him pretty much in the present, but the only way I can do that is to like hack around the present, right? So
yeah, absolutely.
So maybe I'm getting a hold of him in some alternate timeline or something. Who knows precisely how this works, but yeah. So I will enter the committee room and I will do my best to find Zajjidan.
I don't think this is risk. Is it risk-free? Well, you're literally inside your temple. You have used the committee room before. So let's say it's a fortune roll
Mm-hmm.
to see which version of Zajjidan you get. Which is to say, it's going to be who you want, but you might get one from the past who doesn't know exactly what's going on.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, it's Attune, I think, unfortunately, which I'm very bad at.
Yeah. I have a devil's bargain for you.
Okay.
I think that you know that Freya is leaving,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that if you accept in your heart of hearts that the future version of Freya who came back is likely to chase after her, then you can kind of accept that you can't do everything, but you can use that focus to get a die here.
Uh-huh. I think it sort of aligns with Vickers' thinking here. Yes, I don't think I can alter the future, but I can mess with the past. So,
Yeah.
kind of.
Yeah.
All right, I will. If you're okay with the Klow, I will take this devil's bargain.
Yes, I am.
Okay, I roll a 5.
Nice. Okay, I think with the 5, what you get is not exactly what you want, but enough of what you want, right? So as you tell me, are you like meditating here, or are you like wandering around like a labyrinth? Like, what do you feel like?
It's not really Vickers' style to meditate. In fact, I have found a new way of communing with the Chakraborty, but I haven't revealed that yet because I'm doing that in a different scene.
Okay.
But in this case, I think what I'm doing is I am going to the committee meeting and not really knowing how the magic of this works. I think I'm writing a meeting note that very politely details that I had a meeting with Zajjidan officially and formally, and then I date it, and then I will have made it happen.
Excellent.
So I'm making my notes from the meeting that I'm about to have, thus making sure that I have had it. This is the
excellent. In that case, what you see is a table materializes, for some definition of materialize, and it's made up to look like an official committee meeting, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you are not actually in. Yeah, let's make this truly wild for Vickers. You are in a lovely room. Sunlight is streaming through, and I don't mean like mirror light. It's very nicely decorated. There are plants. There is a perfect pot of tea, and something crunchy to eat. What do you think the crunchy thing is that has been set out for you?
Oh, obviously it's cinnamon biscotti.
Yes, correct.
We're such different people because I was going to say dried locust.
Indeed, yes. So I think that you sit down and Zajjidan, like the door opens and you see Zajjidan, and he looks easily 10 years older than he does currently.
Yeah.
And he says, "Oh, I knew I had a meeting. Hello."
Oh, so good to see you. Please do sit down. Is everything well with you? I've been meaning to speak with you, but well, I'm sure that in the future you come from, you took ill and Miraz cured you with the invention of one of his machines. Is that correct?
He looks at you and says, "In the future, I understand. And Miraz is my child?"
Yes, precisely. Your son. He
Very good.
treated you with.
I always wanted a child.
Ah, I see. You always wanted a child. Yes. I suppose this makes the question I'm about to pose a little bit abstract then, but family matters quite a lot to me, and it's my understanding that it matters a lot to you too.
It does. I don't know if you've had the pleasure of meeting my brother, but I've realized that like I normally Zajjidan talks in an Indian accent, but I'm going to stick with this accent now because we're in a parallel reality. Yeah, and I'm going to pretend it was on purpose. And he'll just smile and say, "If you've met a boss, you know that caring about family is almost mandatory."
Yes, I do understand that, and well, I am precisely the same. I care about your son a great deal, and obviously I care about you too, but I think that Miraz, your son, I think he is about to make a terrible mistake.
His brow wrinkles and he says, "What kind of mistake?"
He is, well, trying to save your life at great risk and expense to himself. And also, it may leave him with a difficult and painful condition inflicted by the past of this temple, which is haunted by the long legacy of the shrine builder. And I do trust you have heard of that individual.
Yeah, and I think his eyes like narrow. This is the positive thing about being in this reality, I think, because I think he says, "Oh, I've dealt with them. I kicked them out.
Yes.
Terrible tenants, let me tell you."
Yes, I thought you might, Vickers says with a smile.
Yeah.
I thought you might. See, the shrine builder and I, we have a complicated relationship, but I do believe I happen to know what's best for them, and it is to focus on the future and not on these grandiose projects, not to get stuck and bogged down in memories. And so I'm asking you, and I realize it is a very big question, so do forgive me, but I'm asking you if you are willing to die for your son and take the shrine builder with you.
Jeez.
And I think he breathes in once and breathes out, and he says, I think you and I live in very different worlds, but let me tell you that there is no version of me that would prefer my family to save me and spend themselves. And I will tell you, if you keep this meeting, you can keep the next one. Send the shrine builder to me if you wish. And he and I presume it is a he with you?
Yes, at the moment.
He and I will also be able to have a conversation about this. Regardless.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Vickers says, I thought so. Irrelevant old man indeed. She says with a smile, because I think it's precisely Zajjidan who will be taking the shrine builder down.
Yeah, and I think he says, you remind me of someone else I once spoke to. Does the name Vulture mean anything to you?
I've recently come to understand that it does, yes. And I suppose in this reality and the one I'm coming from, you do seem to be quite an old man. Yes, I sought your counsel, but I also have an appointment. I'm afraid in your reality, it is your time.
And I think he will say, there is no one I would think more fitting than you, my dear. Biscotti?
Yeah, and I will take Biscotti. And yes, this is my plan. I'm scheming with Zajjidan so that he can sacrifice himself and take the shrine builder and all these memories with him and burn the past to give Miraz, the love of my life, a clean future. I am the destroyer.
1 billion%. Like, I'm so glad, because the second you were summon Zajjidan, I was like, I gotta find a version of him who is going to go as hard, right, as this one. And then, when you said it, I was like, yeah, I've got it. I know who he is. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, so this is Vickers' plan.
Yeah, and small Easter egg. I think in this reality, the reason that he didn't have kids is that he was very invested in bailing out his brother. And it's the same kind of thing of my family is very important to me.
Yeah.
I bet in this version, Abbas's love is like, yeah, boy, we gotta do everything for the family. Family's the most important thing. As he tries,
you gotta give us this voice. You must. I don't think you can avoid this now.
I don't know if I can.
I don't know if I can. Yes. Anyway,
how can I top that? I mean,
yeah, you already did it perfectly. Yes. So anyway, this is my plan. I want the machine to work and transfer to enormous amount of spiritual energy, but I want this transference to be the shrine builder and its memories, so that Miraz can be free, and then Zajjidan will die and take the shrine builder with him. Yep.
Excellent.
That's my plan.
cool.
Sounds good. Great.
Should I make this damn thing now?
Please do.
Okay. I mean, I will succeed. It's just a question of how much extra coin I have to spend.
Yeah.
It's Tinker to actually make things, right?
It is largely Tinker to make things, yeah.
Cool. Fortune roll. It makes sense in character to push myself to make this. It's important.
I also think that in this case, this is not exactly how the ability works, but I think Glory Incarnate will give you a die here, because there is nothing more funny to your god than the Vulture and the Shrine Builder working at odds so they can both succeed.
Yeah.
Sounds fine. Okay, I have rolled a 5, which means I build something baseline,
Yes.
which has quality equal to our tier, which is 1.
1.
However, I have Artificer. This is a Parcraft invention, so I get +1 resolve level. Quality 2. We have a workshop, so it's quality 3. So this is actually missing 1 coin's worth of extra juice.
Which is probably our electricity bill. I think that's what the extra coin represents.
Yeah. Like that is like Fozia Ansarek is like sending you notes that are like, look, I'm buying all of the ectoplasm that I can, but like I can't do everything on credit, okay?
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to roll resolve. This is a roll by resolve roll to kind of like determine, is Miraz going to stop at just enough to power this thing, or is he going to go ham?
Super
Would
crit.
you like to tell us what you rolled?
3 6s on this resolve roll.
The number of the beast?
Yeah, so he's going to go all the way. He's going to spend an inordinate amount of money.
I don't think you can spend more than 3. I think tier 6 is like the highest you can go in the game.
I mean, if you want to spend more money, we can go into notional tier if you like. I'm not going to stop you.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Tier 6. I have built a tier 6 machine.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes.
The new Prometheus, indeed.
And I'm just looking at it and nervously, kind of like tapping together 2 wires, which are sparking with electricity. I'm like tapping them together. I'm just wondering. I'm trying to psych myself up for this. Like there's like sweat pouring down of me, which is not the best thing to have on you when you're playing with electricity, to be so full of sweat.
Yes,
But it's also a very, very hot, warm room.
Something to think about.
Yeah. So I'm there. Tripartner Sin has obviously been called.
Yep.
I have no idea what she's going to say when she shows up and sees Zajjidan and myself connected by electroplasmic metallic diadems to a golem that has had like metal rods shoved inside its body, and it's just kind of sitting there waiting to basically die.
Shall we roll her resolve to see whether she rolls 3 6s? I think, it's important. She rolled 1 6, so apparently it's still fine. I think she comes in, sighs, and says, is this why you were asking all those questions about the wax flesh barrier?
Yes.
Okay. Well, let me tell you, all of those questions were assuming that, it wasn't a golem that you were training from. So how about I make sure you don't do anything extremely stupid with this?
He just kind of nods. Sweat flies off him. He should be wearing his protective suit normally to protect himself, obviously. But this is meant to. He has to be as exposed as possible, really, for this to also work.
Yeah. So I think she, in fact, comes in, fishes out. She's the kind of person to have a handkerchief on her at all times. So she fishes out a handkerchief and then like mops the sweat like off your brow and says, I think she just says, well, after this, you are going to need you're going to take a very long bath.
Yeah, Miraz just kind of nods, distracted, his eyes wild. He's just, I don't know what he'd wait for. I think he's.
Do you think you would want Vickers in the room with him, or do you think this would be like, because I can see him wanting her there for emotional support, but I can also see it's like, no, only professionals should be in the room.
I think he wants everyone there, and he wants no one else there at the same time somehow. So it entirely up to you guys.
I think Vickers will not be in the room with him. I think it's cooler if she does this remotely. And I have a way for her to interfere, like remotely. So
Excellent.
What about Uncle Abbas?
Okay, if you're going, so I was thinking that I would find some way to get more spirit energy, but it seems like you're doing this already.
I mean, it doesn't hurt for you to add even more
Yeah.
power. Like,
Okay, so let me see what I can do. Okay,
I have made the device, but like we haven't done the action roll. It's probably going to be desperate as hell, maybe even limited. I don't know if you need to set me up.
okay,
for that.
so I can form a conduit to the flame to create a bigger flame, but maybe I can change the ritual around somehow so that instead of the fire, I'm siphoning off spirit energy from the well instead. Like,
Okay. Yeah.
let me roll something, maybe study or something to see if I can figure out a way to do this.
Sure.
All right.
You could. Yeah. And I think this is just you are just studying, right? Yeah. So
Yeah.
absolutely makes sense.
Is that a fortune roll?
It's a fortune roll because I assume that you are not experimenting. You are theorizing.
I'm theorizing, yeah, to see if this is possible, right? Like, okay, 3 and 4.
Yeah. I think you find something very straightforward, which is that you can do this, but you will run into the same problem that your brother did, which is that. Actually, you know what? That's not interesting. So let's not say it's just that like you have to take stress on instead. I think that maybe the answer here is it's going to like the divine fire is going to have an effect on Zajjidan in some way. And because so far as you know, there is nobody else involved in like maybe doing something divine. Basically what it is that you definitely understand that, like, you know, your god is not exactly the well, right? Like there is some connection there, but it's not the same. And so using the well in this way will definitely complicate that.
Yeah. Okay, so I think to address the first point, is the fire will have an effect on Zajjidan in some way. I think it's a family decision. So, you know, Miraz, as a, do you think it's a good idea to potentially?
Wait, are you having this conversation while everybody is hooked up, or are you doing this a couple of days earlier?
Let's say we're doing this a couple of days earlier, because like this study would have had to happen before.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
What? Yes. The more power, the better. Of course.
Yeah. So out of character, I don't actually know, maybe in character, like because Abbas, I don't think would be a little hesitant to do something that might mess his brother up.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, like using the shrine builder energy might mess him up too. So yeah. All right. So it can be done. But we've decided to do it. What do I need to do it? So, but I have an idea. So the candle is still there, right? Like the candle that maybe if I use that candle, I can somehow reverse the process that Zajjidan used.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah. So
I mean, I think some of it has like been used by Triparna for testing, but most of it is still there.
Yeah, so what I'm doing is I'll be doing my ritual with a little modification with the same candle that Zajjidan used that took his life force away, reverse it. So remind me what exactly you're expecting to do with the golem?
I am going to. So I have spiritual power. That thing has spiritual power. We're going to use it as the conduit.
Right. So this is a wax golem. This is a wax candle. I'll put it, some arcane engineering incorporated into the golem, so that the golem can, it'll also draw power from the well. This all works in, it works in the fiction. It works arcanely. We don't have to explain it too much.
Yeah.
Okay. What am I rolling? Attune?
Sounds right.
Yes. This is not risk-free.
No, it is not.
I'm trying to think whether it can be anything but desperate. And usually when I think this question, the answer is it's got to be desperate, but maybe. Okay, I think you're actually at risky limited.
Risky limited. Then I'll go for
Yeah.
desperate. I'll trade position in
Standard.
effect. Go for
Yeah,
desperate standard.
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, they should. Yes.
Yes.
And
I will not assist because it would make no fictional sense for me to be doing anything except what
yes,
I'm
no,
doing.
you should. And
I will point out that if you ask Vickers to assist, it'll be very funny for the audience because it'll give Vickers another way to figure out what's going on and, interfere.
I'm also going to point out that we have a cohort of adepts that we have never
Yeah.
used.
oh yeah,
Oh my god, you're not wrong.
Make a group action with them. It makes more sense, I think.
all right.
They offer a bonus die, but if
Yes,
that
they
die,
do.
if
They
that,
offer 2 bonus dice.
they offer 2
Oh,
bonus
okay.
dice, right? But if any of them,
Because they're elites.
if they fail, you take a stress. That's how it works.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Well, what's one more trauma?
Basically, I'll just roll
Yeah.
for them then.
Oh, we did.
Okay, they know what they're doing. I want to point out, yeah.
I mean, here's my role as well. Like, oh, okay, they did it.
They did it somehow. Okay. Well, I guess
Yeah.
they know ancient
I
secret.
think, yeah, I think I want you to tell me why they are so much better at this than you are, given you are the person who's doing the ritual.
I think like my theory was correct, right? But it's more of a psychological hang-up, right? Like I'm
Right.
personally involved, right? So I just messed up the execution, but the theory was correct.
Yeah, and to be honest, they have been fucking with weird divine shit
Yeah.
also, right?
Yeah.
So, given that they have not, they don't have the psychological thing of they care about him deeply, but
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely. So I think with standard effect, you will, you can set this up. So Miraz will either get better position or better effect on his roll.
All right.
Miraz.
Okay. What's my position in effect to do this thing?
Okay, before I even ask that, is your goal here? I'm envisioning it as you will press a button and then, like Frankenstein reborn, your father will merely come back to life. Is that, am I imagining Miraz's imagination correctly?
Yes.
Okay, good.
At no, and ideally at no personal cost to me.
Okay. You are at limited effect, which is if you, this is before the setup, if you do this, your father will come back to himself over some time, but not A, completely, and B, not without cost to you, and C, not without cost to the temple, because the golem might blow up or something.
Oh, I mean that's
That's part of the
it, that's
consequence.
the
But yeah,
whole
limited effect is he will not be well.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, makes sense. It's a tier 6 object, but goddamn.
Well, I mean, to be clear, it is a tier 6 object, which is why you can do this.
Yeah.
So you're desperate limited now because of the setup.
No. This is
Yeah.
before the setup.
Oh,
sorry.
so with the setup, you are at desperate standard.
Yeah, so you can be at risky limited or desperate standard. The reason for that, so basically it's impossible. Tier 6 gives you limited, setup gives you standard. Because you did have a tier 6 thing, so I think it's very unfair to remove that completely.
No, makes sense. Okay. Well, I'm going to make it a group action with our golem, whose name I have discovered. We had forgotten this. Its name is the Glove Box.
Yes, it is the glove box, you're right. Yeah. I've just been listening to those episodes, which is why I remember. Yeah.
Oh, damn. Okay. So it's going to help us. It's going to participate in this group action. Desperate Standard. I mean, Desperate Standard's fine.
Yeah. This is the kind of desperate where desperate is really desperate, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, of course. So Desperate Standard is fine. I'm asking, is there a Devil's Bargain? Because I'm definitely going to push myself in some capacity, so I want to know what the Devil's Bargain would be.
I don't know if this is a devil's bargain for me in that I would reject this. So I'm going to say it out loud, but I don't know if it counts. Which is, if you permit the serpent to retake its rightful place and not upend the temple entirely. Accept that you were completely wrong and you will submit to the serpent and You will do what it says. Then it will appear and empower you in this moment.
No, I don't think any of us want that.
Yeah, no, that's fair. But to be honest, the point of this bargain is to like offer you something that is that costly. But yeah.
Yeah. Fuck that toxic bitch.
I will also say that it would have like forced you to like retake that thing about I'm not going to be the high priest anymore. So yeah, it's good. Let me think.
Okay, I'm going to roll a wreck.
I'm so sorry. Sorry, can we? Sorry, I thought you were attuning. Are you wrecking?
So wreck, tinker, and attune, they're the same dice for me. I think wreck because, well, I think definitely something's going to blow up.
No, sure, but like I'm asking this because in terms of the fictional approach, if you are wrecking something, then the possibility of that meaning that your father's body is wrecked, like, increases dramatically.
Okay, fine, I'll attune then.
Yeah, like
I'll attune then.
You can't wreck without wrecking.
Fine. Okay. Lol. But let's see what the glove box does.
Okay, this goes poorly. And the glove box rolls a 6.
Okay.
So I rolled a 1 and a 1 and a 1, and the glove box rolled a 6.
But now I'm interfering with this also. I'll remind you. I don't know how we're handling that precisely, but
I don't know how we're handling it either, but it's very useful to me that it's the glove box that succeeded and not Miraz, because it allows us to color things so differently, including, like, I really thought if the glove box rolled a 4 to 5, what would happen is that your father would possess the glove box. So it's good that didn't happen.
Yeah.
But yeah. So we know that the standard effect here, which is you are able to de-holofy your father, happens. That so far has occurred. Now we can talk about the interference. So, Vickers, what is your plan?
Yes, so we will cut to Vickers, and I will remind you, I've constantly been quoting Inanna as the inspiration for Vickers. Yeah. So we will see Vickers in the big old temple room where we have these steps leading down to a bath that's just full of inky blackness. And we will see her approach in her priestly robes, holding a giant weapon, which we now know is the elephant code. Like the heavy weapon, which is engraved with the symbol of a snake on it.
Yes.
And she will look down at the pool, and she will sigh, and she will take off her priestly garments, and take one step down, and then remove her jewelry, and take one step down. And I'm going to descend into the underworld, into the pool that is under our temple. And I'm going to kill the fucking snake.
Oh, yeah.
This is my plan.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And this will interfere because it will drive out the shrine builder, as this is going on, drive out the shrine builder, destroy the past, make way for, or destroy the toxic past. I'm not destroying everything, right? But I am breaking the vicious cycle.
Now this is role-playing.
Yeah, I want to say, you really, we thought, oh yeah, let's do some free play. Let's do,
yes,
like some long time. We're here killing the avatar of our god.
Yes,
great, fantastic. Emma's going to be so annoyed that she missed this.
We are going to punish Emma for having a life beyond us.
Yeah, would you like to read out the text of your special ability?
Yes, I have spent XP, or I've spent training XP now to take an ability called the Destroyer. You know the secret ways to wreck ancient powers, forgotten gods or demons, ending them. Once you have damaged, lessened, or destroyed an ancient power, you take +1 die to command or intimidate their worshippers. And this is a twist on occultist, but since I am the Destroyer, and this has been established by the fiction, I don't consort with ancient powers, I end them.
No, you wreck them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I do think this needs to be a clock.
I'm going to assist you as prayer.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll establish how that looks after Tree's done establishing things.
Yeah, sorry. I do think this needs to be a clock because I don't think that you can just turn up and stop. I'm going to call it an 8 clock because it's literally the avatar of a god. It would be 12 for anybody else.
Yes.
Let's be real, right? And when the 8 clock is finished, you are perfectly capable of skinning the snake and wearing its dead skin as boots, if you so wish. You want a snake skin briefcase, that can be done, right? But so you are accompanied by Freya, but you are accompanied by one other person, which is, of course, that version of Zajjidan to whom you appealed.
Yes.
For help.
Excellent.
And as you descend into the underworld, and you are in this inky blackness, you feel as if you are floating in water, but you are not drowning.
Yep.
Right? All of your surroundings suddenly kind of like, it's like an underwater wave like kind of hits you. And this man, Zajjidan, the version of him that you met, appears in his war gear, which is he has a spirit mask of the traditional Iruvian make. He has armor on. He's got golden bangles on one hand that look like they've got runes on them. And then he just like turns he wears his mask like on his forehead for a second, just like talk to you, and he says, "I'm not late, am I?"
Perfectly on time. I think time works a little strange here.
And I think he laughs and says, "I've never known you to have a sense of humor, and I'm glad you have not started now." And he's definitely talking about the vulture and not about you specifically.
Yeah.
Right? Freya, how are you getting here?
I think Freya, you do not enter with Freya, but a queen emerges, and she's got a sword, which turns into a rose, which turns into a gun, which turns into a scepter, and she says, "I don't know who you are, and yet I do know who you are. And I feel that you have helped me, or that you will help me, or that I will help you. Is it so?"
Vickers nods, and she says, "I am a bird who lets no one escape, a falcon preying on the gods."
"Then let us fly together." And she floats. So I want to clarify that this isn't just, anyone can be here bullshit. Freya has obviously gone quite a lot back and forth in time. So I think a part of her is still kind of like resonant.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. And I think I was just thinking, in fact, that like when Freya first came to the temple, she actually knew an incredible amount about you, even like before you had first met her, right? So like we've established that even for her, there's some weird time travel stuff going on. So it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So I'm going to approach the serpent.
Yeah. So like let's do a paint the scene here, I think, because this is fun. Aadiyat,
Yes.
in this place of utter inky darkness, where it seems like there is no light except what like would intuitively be there because they can see each other. What is the first sign of the serpent?
Just maybe you can just hear like a distant rattling, like a because I feel like this the serpent takes on the aspects of mini snakes, not.
Yes, absolutely.
But like it's an echoing sound, right? Like it's sort of coming from everywhere.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to think now. I mean, of any number of video games I've played, right, where you hear the monster just before it appears, you're like, I hate this. Like in Half-Life 2, like the little crabs make those noises, and it's just like, it's awful. Prince.
Yep.
In what way does the snake change the environment in order to shock you, or in order to like intimidate and terrify you?
Oh, it changes it into Uduasha, as it always was and always has been and always will be. This is an illusion, but this is the illusion it throws at me.
Yes, excellent. There are no escalators here, I'm afraid.
Yeah. It is a dead Uduasha, I think. Like it's a city with buildings but no people, with art but no viewers.
Yeah. And you have this disorienting feeling that you can see all of it, even though obviously you can't, because it is forcing you to see, right? And these 5 towers that rise from the bottom, almost like the 5 fingers of a hand, towards the sky. Each of them seem about to close in and make a fist so they can crush you. Zoheb, there is something in this place that, despite all of this, gives the people here hope that they can do this. What is that thing?
Like the 3 of us?
Yeah.
I think what happens is that a flame starts dancing above our brows.
And I want to ask you, Tree, what does the snake say as it appears?
Oh man. It appears and it says, Vulture, you have tried more times than there are droplets in the ocean. You have failed each time. You will fail once more. Come. Let me show you that a wheel never ends.
Yes, you're quite right. You are an endless being. You're a god. I cannot kill you. But she can. And I want Joan to appear here, so let's break the session.
Oh, yes!
And so blows out our brief candle. I named the disciples of the ceaseless temple thus, with both their given names and taken. Soumithri, called Tree. Zoheb, called Klow. Prince, Emma, and Aadiyat, called Soap. Intro music, Jalandhar by Kevin MacLeod. Outro music in Kiravani Ragam by Srinivas. Blades in the Dark by John Harper and Evil Hat Productions. Iruvian playbooks by Johnstone Metzger. Follow us at Desperate Attune on Twitter or email us at desperateattune@gmail.com. Support us at kofi.com/desperateattune.
On the final episode of this season of Desperate Attune,
Imperial Inspector, dressed in her full regalia, enters the room, sees everything, and declares, "What in? I demand you halt immediately. Human experimentation. No such paperwork was filed."
what's all this then?
Yeah. Hello.